The email has been open on your laptop for 3 days. You glance at the subject line, feel that tightness in your chest, and your hand reaches for your phone almost automatically. You tell yourself you'll start in a minute, and somehow it's already 11:30 p.m. You know this pattern. You watch yourself repeat it, and you still feel pulled into it. There is a way to change this that doesn't depend on suddenly becoming a different person. But before that makes sense, it helps to see what's actually happening in the few seconds before you delay. When a task feels heavy, boring, or risky, your mind quietly runs a cost-benefit check. In a moment, it compares "feel this discomfort now" with "get a small hit of relief" by doing something else. That something else might be checking messages, watching a video, wiping the counter, or opening a new tab that feels easier. That relief is real. It's the tiny exhale when you close the tab with the project or flip the notebook shut. The problem is that the undone task doesn't disappear. It sits in the background like an unpaid bill, adding a little more pressure every time you swipe later, so the next similar task feels even heavier. Imagine Jamie staring at a blank slide deck for a presentation next week. They feel a wave of, "I don't know where to start." Click over to social media for a second, and suddenly an hour is gone. The deck feels bigger, not smaller. Here's the part most people miss. Procrastination is less about time management and more about discomfort management. The habit isn't not doing work. The habit is escaping the feeling around the work. One way this loop stays alive is by confusing the last-minute rush with talent. When you finally start the report the night before, the panic gives you a jolt, you focus hard, and you finish. It's easy to tell yourself, "See, I work best under pressure," instead of seeing that you work under pressure because you waited. Another way is by keeping tasks vague and oversized. Finish the report, clean the apartment, or study for the exam. Live in your mind as huge blocks. Your brain can't see a clear first move, so the whole thing feels like a heavy backpack you'd rather not touch at all. A third mechanism is letting feelings run the calendar. On a low-energy day, or when dread shows up, the thought, "I'm not in the right headspace," feels like a valid reason to postpone, even if a small, clearly defined action would still be possible. And then there's harsh self-talk dressed up as motivation. You might tell yourself, "What's wrong with you? Normal people can do this," thinking it will push you forward. In practice, it makes the task feel more threatening, because starting now also means facing that inner criticism. Most people, including Jamie, try to fix this with more tools. New apps, new planners, new color-coded systems. These can help with organization, but they don't touch the key moment, that small internal flinch right before you switch away from the task. Here's the twist. Changing procrastination isn't about becoming endlessly disciplined. It's about getting better at handling that tiny moment of discomfort without automatically escaping it. To make this practical, we'll use a simple 3-step ritual you can run in under a minute whenever you notice yourself drifting. You don't need more energy, and you don't need to overhaul your whole life. You only need to practice what happens in the next 5 minutes. Step 1. Name the loop. You're sitting at your desk. You feel the pull to open another tab instead of the budget spreadsheet. In that second, you quietly say, "I'm delaying." And then, you name the one thing you're actually avoiding, sending the budget draft, or writing the first paragraph. You're not judging it, just labeling what's happening. Expected effect. The pattern shifts from invisible habit to something you can see. Step 2. Cut the thread. Take that named task and shrink it to a tiny, clear start that fits into 5 minutes. Open the file, write 3 bullet points, list 3 sources, or type 1 email sentence. You're not committing to finish. You're cutting the mental all or nothing thread by defining a very small, concrete beginning. Micro scene. You set a 5-minute timer, open the draft, and only fix the title. Expected effect. The task stops feeling like a mountain and becomes one specific step. Step 3. Reset on repeat. When the 5 minutes end, you pause and decide on purpose. Stop and mark it as a win, or continue by choice, not by pressure. You might stretch, get a glass of water, or check off 5-minute start in a simple list. Then, when the urge to delay appears again later, you run the same 3 steps without drama. Expected effect. Starting becomes a small, repeatable action, not a rare burst of willpower. Notice how this is different from promising a huge catch-up day. Instead of telling yourself, "I'll spend all Saturday fixing everything," you're trading big heroic plans for small, reliable starts that you can actually do when you're tired. Jamie tries this one evening with that unfinished slide deck. They catch themselves opening a video. Say, "I'm delaying. I'm avoiding the introduction slide." Set a 5-minute timer, and just write rough bullet points for the first 2 slides. They stop when the timer ends and feel a small but real sense of control. There are a few common mistakes that quietly keep the old pattern in place. One is collecting systems instead of changing starts. Downloading 5 productivity apps or setting up a new planner feels productive. But if the moment of "I'm delaying" doesn't change, the loop continues under a prettier calendar. Another mistake is using huge makeup sessions as a safety net. You fall behind, then promise, "I'll catch up this weekend with a massive workday." Maybe you do it once, feel drained, and then start avoiding the work even more because it's linked to exhaustion, not small daily moves. A third mistake is arguing with how hard it feels. You think, "This shouldn't be this hard. It's just an email." And that frustration becomes another reason to close the laptop. The feeling is valid, but it doesn't help you decide the next 5 minutes. So how do you spot the exact moment to run the ritual? 3 tiny signals show up again and again, and each can be met with a simple gesture that changes the outcome. Signal 1. Your hand drifts toward your phone or a new tab when you're faced with a task. Gesture. Whisper delay under your breath. Set a 5-minute timer and simply open the task file or page. Nothing more. Visible consequence. Instead of disappearing into your phone for 30 minutes, you spend at least 5 of them reducing the weight of the thing that's stressing you. Signal 2. A wave of dread or boredom when you think of a task. Gesture. Rate that feeling, 1 to 10, in your head. Then pick one tiny action designed only to nudge the number down by 1 point, like writing a rough title, making a short outline, or locating one document. Visible consequence. The emotional mountain turns into a series of small, manageable bumps. Signal 3. Catching yourself. Mid-self-attack. You're useless. You did it again. You'll never change. Gesture. Say, "That was past me," out loud if you can. Then choose one 5-minute action you can take today and start it immediately. Visible consequence. The energy that usually goes into shaming gets redirected into a concrete move that slightly lightens tomorrow. Have you noticed how often your mind says, "I'll start when I feel more ready"? Waiting for the right mood, the perfect desk setup, or the ideal energy level keeps pushing the start line forward. What changes things is having a pre-decided 5-minute move that you run no matter what your mood is doing. It can help to think of your tasks like a credit card bill. Every time you swipe later, a little interest gets added in the form of stress, guilt, or last-minute chaos. The 5-minute starts are like small payments that quietly slow down that growth, even if the whole balance isn't gone. Jamie doesn't stop procrastinating overnight. They still have days where they scroll too long or avoid opening the project file. But now there's a simple script to come back to. Name the loop, cut the thread, reset on repeat. That reduces the shame and gives them something to do instead of just blaming themselves. You can test this in a very ordinary scene. Look at your day and pick one thing you've been putting off. An email, a form, a small chunk of studying, a call, or tidying one surface. Notice the next moment you feel the urge to push it away, and run the 3 steps only for 5 minutes. These thoughts about "I'll do it later" will still show up. But now the question isn't how to erase them, it's how to respond in the next 5 minutes. You're not doing this alone. Many people are quietly practicing the same small shifts, one task at a time.